Okay, boom, there we go. Krista, how are
Cool.
you doing?
I am great.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to chat with you. I know you're telling me a little bit about you and where you're at in coasting before we press record, but just for everyone else, kind of catch me up to speed and catch them up to speed.
Yeah. I'm a real estate investor already, only in long-term rentals, and I have been Airbnb. I've been hosting my personal residence for over 5 years, and within the past year, during 2023, I added another sort of listing to my portfolio, an Airbnb listing that happened to be my boyfriend's. And so I was managing a couple of different properties then at that point, my primary residence, his primary residence. And so I kind of just was trying to figure out next steps of like where I want to go in my real estate journey. I have a lot of like marketing experience, hospitality experience. I love Airbnb and the whole platform. And so I just came across your stuff, Bailey, a while back. That was like kind of creating a business out of co-hosting, and I was like, oh man, that's like right up my alley, and such a perfect fit for me, just based on all of my past experience, and kind of where I want to go with my real estate journey. I want to keep and like diversify. I want to keep my long-term rentals. I would love to have short-term rentals in my portfolio as well, and then the co-hosting income would be kind of like my active income right now. I actually just quit my W-2 job last fall to go
So
in
you're all
on
in.
I'm all in on real estate full time, like real
Okay.
estate investing. I'm all in, but I'm still living off of savings right now. I'm not like 100% covering all of my expenses with my investments. And so um coming across the Airbnb co-hosting was like a light bulb moment, because I need active income right now. And it obviously is in the industry and pairs really well with what I'm already doing. So that's kind of like a
Cool.
general background intro. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that makes total sense. I think that's cool. Um, and I think it makes sense because like where you're at, you have the long term rentals, you have an Airbnb, and then the coasting side's cool because it's just more of the same, except without any money up front. So that's cool.
Mhm.
You're just telling me before this too that you just are about to sign on your first um coasting client that's not like a family
Yes.
member, like your property, whatever. Um, and I want to hear about kind of how you found that one, but I'm curious too, what market or what general area are you in?
I'm in Denver. So
Okay.
that one was not like through my personal network. This new client that's about to sign, which is, likely the easiest way to get somebody, but not through my personal network. But I do feel kind of lucky because I'm in the state of Colorado, and the Airbnb co-hosting platform, like marketplace that they've just
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
released. They released it in the summer of 2023, I believe, only in a handful of states, and Colorado was one of
Mhm.
them. So I've signed on. I only created my profile on that maybe like in December. So I've got a couple of months of like some inquiries and people reaching out, and a couple of little introductory calls. And um, this guy I've had some no's. I've had like a couple of no's, and people just picked somebody else. And it's very competitive on that marketplace. So I'm actually kind
Mhm.
of surprised that he wants, not super surprised that he wants to move forward, but it's really competitive. There's so many people on there, and everybody's
Mhm.
kind of showcasing all of their, like, they have more listens than I do because I'm still new.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was great. I think what really helped is his property is in the same neighborhood that I've lived in for years. So I have a lot of knowledge of the area, and he actually wants to do. I also do medium term.
Perfect.
It's actually what I'm doing for the two properties that I do manage on Airbnb right now.
Cool.
Our medium term strategy. He also wants to do medium term. Denver again is very strict in its policies and its laws, and it has to be your primary residence to even
Yeah.
do short term rentals. So it's difficult. And I think a lot of people don't even need a co-host maybe in the city of Denver
Mhm.
because it's their primary residence and they're just renting out a bedroom or a mother-in-law suite or something. But um yeah, so that's how I found him. It was
Okay.
purely through the marketplace. And we literally just had a phone call. We didn't even have a video call. And I kind of just like spilled out all of my knowledge on the phone call. And it must have been, I'm not very salesy or anything, but it must have been clear, I
Yeah.
guess, or evident that I knew what I was talking about. I've been dealing with the city laws and Airbnb in the city of Denver for a long time. And so I'm knowledgeable on the subject. And so um,
Totally.
I guess I guess I persuaded him. So we're moving
Yeah.
forward,
Cool.
which is
Okay.
great.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congrats.
Thanks.
So you got that one closing soon. And then
Mhm.
is your plan to stick in Denver, or like what's kind of the plan going forward for you?
Yeah. Good question. So I'm actually really trying to work 100% remotely for everything that I do and everything that I work on. And I'm kind of starting this business with the intention of being remote. Um, Denver has been my home base for 10 years and I'm kind of ready to move on. I've been traveling actually for the past like 5 months in a truck camper. I am in a
Sweet.
house. I'm in a house right now, just like actually an Airbnb. Um, but my boyfriend and I have been traveling and basically doing van life for like 5 months, and it's really awesome that I'm still able to stay fully connected and literally make an income while on the road. And so I want to continue staying on the road and not necessarily go back to Denver, even though Denver will always be home. But we're kind of looking for like a new home base. May or may not stay on the road. We might just buy something or rent something and like stay put, but it probably won't be in Denver.
Okay.
So that's kind of my like what was your original question? It was like,
Shit. I was asking you if you pick Denver as like the market
oh,
you want, or
yeah.
Colorado.
Yeah, so I know Denver very well, and I know the mountain towns very well, and I thought it would be easiest to start there. But I was trying to everybody that I talked to for introductory calls and potential clients, I was like very upfront, like, because I feel like you should be like, I'm remote and I won't always be there, but here's why that's okay and how I would handle a
Totally.
situation. And a lot of stuff I learned from you, Bailey, but and how to like handle that situation in that call, or that question. So I want to start in Denver and in the mountain properties, but I'll be spending a lot of time in California upcoming
Okay.
soon in a couple months. So California is going to be my next like market to. I mean, California is huge, but
Yeah.
LA, kind of Santa Barbara area,
Okay.
is going to be my next target market. Santa Barbara also has laws against short-term rentals in the
Mhm.
city center, but the county around it is okay with it. But so there's definitely some factors there. But
Totally.
anywhere on like the west, like if I'm going to stay remote and just do it remotely, I'd like to just stay kind
Right.
of on the west side of the. Well, it doesn't have to be on the west side of the United States.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere, but I want to start with a couple of markets first, get my team on the ground and make sure everything is running smoothly, and then I can expand a little. I mean, if I myself were to purchase a short-term rental property for an investment for myself, it would likely be on the eastern side of the United States, not on
Yeah.
the western
Yeah.
side. So, um, but co-hosting specifically, I think I just feel like I'm more comfortable on the west side. I don't know. I'm from Colorado and
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in California. But anyway,
Yep.
it could be anywhere. Yeah.
Totally. And since you have properties over there, I mean, since you have properties, period, it makes, and you're already doing it remotely, it makes the next steps easier. That's good. What do you feel like is like? I guess what do you feel like you need a little help with? What's your biggest roadblock, like going forward?
Yeah. The literally the remote aspect, as far as people management and team member
Mhm.
management. So I have no mental blocks with like the technology and the software and like automated messaging and just doing everything virtually because it's you can do everything virtually, but it's the on the ground team. And I have a good cleaner in Denver. And maintenance is not as a common need. So that's okay. And I have maintenance people on my list too. It's really the property runner is kind of my biggest hurdle right now. And I don't have
Okay.
one yet. And that's my next person to find. That's literally on my list for this week. In the next couple of weeks. And I wanna find somebody and then meet them on site and go over everything and just ensure that I have that like trust with them and that they're not gonna like screw me over, screw the homeowner over. Um, so that's my next like pain point is how to find that person and what kind of questions to ask to create that like rapport and that trust and ensure that they are okay with just doing that job and not wanting more like a crazy amount of money for it or
Right.
um I don't know, like questioning. I have a mental block of them questioning like, well, why don't you just go over there or why don't you do it or like where are you or there's some people who are really like how are you managing this property? Like, oh, you're in Mexico right now? Like, well, that's not fair. Like, why aren't you at the property? Why aren't you doing? And that's a big reason why I had got some no's on the couple of client calls that I've had is they they also have their own mental roadblock of they want somebody down the street from their house and it feels
Yep.
safer to them. And like I get that, but yeah, I don't know. There's you have to persuade somebody to change their mind
Yeah.
about that and be kinda, like, salesy about it, and I don't maybe quite know how to articulate that yet.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the runner person is kinda my hurdle who I just need to find, like, the right person who would be up for that job. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple different thoughts here. I guess first thing is I think from my experience at least, like it's two different conversations between convincing an owner that you can do this thing remotely and then convincing your cleaner or runner that you can do it remotely. The owner of the property, they're gonna mostly have questions about it. They're gonna mostly care about it. And those objections are normal. And it sounds like you've done a pretty good job overcoming those. You can't convince everybody. If someone is so set on having someone remote, there's sometimes nothing you can do. Um, but of course, explaining why it's gonna work when you're remote and the systems and the team you have in place sounds like you've got that down. I
Mhm.
will tell you from having remote team members, cleaners, and runners, at least from my experience, they do not care where I am. Like
Mm,
I've never had that. I honestly, I've never even thought about it, but it's never been an objection ever. It's never been, it's honestly never been a thing like
yeah.
any ties. And I travel a pretty decent amount too. And I don't really tell them, I mean, I don't really tell them anything to be honest, but
Yeah.
they know that I'm not local. At the end of the day, a lot of these people who are doing the cleaning, doing the runner tasks, they're in it for the money. Like they
Mhm.
just see it as like, I'll do the task, I get paid, good to go. They don't, from my experience, I don't know if you ran into
Yeah.
something that like gave you the doubt, but I've never had a situation where they're like, oh, this guy, he's chilling in Florida right now. Like, I don't want to go run to the property. They're thinking, I'm getting money. Like, I'm in. Have
Yeah.
you had a negative
Okay.
experience from it that made you think that?
No, no, not really. It's just a mental
Okay.
block, I
Yeah,
think.
just a thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I recommend doing that, I mean, I guess what I'd recommend is when you are hiring someone, we'll talk about some specifics here in a second, but don't feel like you need to give them like all the details of your life either. You don't need to necessarily tell them that you're living van life and you're going to be traveling and this and that.
Mhm.
You can just let them know that like you don't have to let them know anything. If they ask
Mhm.
you, "Hey, you wanna meet for coffee?" You can then just say, like, "Oh, I'm actually, like, not in town. I do most of this remote." And then if you are gonna be in town ever, you could say, like, "I'm gonna be in town in August," or, "When I am
Yeah.
back in town, though, I'll let you know and we can catch up." But I feel like you don't have to give, like, detail, and you don't
Yeah.
have to meet them. I haven't met, like 90+% of my remote team members,
Mhm.
and
And it's
it's fine.
fine. Yeah. And
Yeah, totally fine.
the homeowners are okay with that. Like they know that you're giving all these other people access to their house and I mean it's like if maybe it probably depends too on if you're co-hosting for an owner who it's their like home versus if it's an investor who they just bought it as an investment property. Obviously, they don't have a mental or I mean an emotional attachment to it the same way. So that's where it's always it's the people who are emotionally attached who are very concerned, you know. So
Yeah. Well, we do too, and this may or may not help, but we have this stuff that I'll explain for people that are nervous about it is like the door locks we use. We use like the Schlag on code, so
mhm.
we can see exactly who's actually opening the door. We'll give different unique codes.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is cameras. Um, I'd say a majority of my properties have cameras on the outside,
Yeah.
so we can easily see who's come in, who's coming out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't really dealt with that specific like concern before. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
one,
My
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Um, well, I was just gonna say my other, uh, kind of thing that I haven't quite worked out yet is and what I learned, like, with the runner and, say, charging, or paying them, like, 25 bucks, you know, to go over there to do something, and then that charge being on the homeowner's report at the end of the month, and them
Mhm.
being like, I'm not far enough along the line to, like, have this happen yet, but I'm wondering if you've ever had anybody who's like, "Wait, I thought it was you who was gonna be doing all this stuff, and, like, what's this extra $25 charge, and what's a runner? Who is this person?"
Mhm.
And I'm curious if, like, yeah, how you kinda go about that, or if you maybe just build
Totally.
in the 25 like, you pay for it and then
Yeah.
don't charge them. I don't know.
So I'll tell you up front that in our coasting agreement and in the conversations, we charge the owner the $25 or the fee for them to come out to do whatever. But let me ask you this, because this is gonna tie in. What do you and this will help everyone too. What like runner tasks are really in your head? Like when you think about like and maybe it's because you've already done some runner tasks, or maybe there's some things you're thinking of. Like what are some example tasks that either you've done or like you've had done or like you're thinking about when you're talking about this?
Yeah, that's a good question, and eh, and a lot of it I know the cleaner can do, and it's probably just having a better conversation about expectations with my cleaner. Um, but for instance, I'm thinking of like a welcome gift, and depending on what that is, I have one like I have a property that I want to establish a welcome gift for, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But like
What?
the cleaner, I don't know, there was, the cleaner like, the last clean that I did, the property was, like, cleaned very well, but it wasn't necessarily, like, set up, like, pretty, like, the kitchen, they left, like, the dish drying towel, like, out on the counter, and the
Okay.
watering can for the plants was out on the counter, and it wasn't just, like, put together nicely, and I texted her, and I was like, can you know, put the watering can on the floor next time and just like put this other thing in the cabinet and make sure it's like nice and clean and presentable? And she was like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Just send me a photo of what you want it to look like." And of course I wasn't there and I was like, "Well, I can't send you a photo, but I will next time." But the runner tasks, I'm thinking it, like at least for the first couple of cleans with a cleaner, is just having somebody else's eyes on that property after they leave, after it's been cleaned, and just walking through the space and making sure it looks presentable. That's kind of what I'm and then putting out, like, a welcome gift if there is one, or making sure that,
Yeah.
like, my sheet of house rules and the house manual, like I have like a laminated sheet that I would put out on the counter as soon as you like walk in the space, on the counter with the garage door opener and
Mhm.
anything else like a bottle line or whatever. And I don't think that the cleaner, I have no idea where the that sheet of paper was, and the cleaner like didn't, it wasn't communicated. It was my fault that it wasn't communicated to them. Like, find that sheet of paper wherever it is in the house and put it on the counter. It was my assumption in my head that they would already know that's what you do because it's an Airbnb
Mhm.
and they clean Airbnbs. And so
Right.
I recognize that that's like my fault. And it's just a communication thing. Like, I have to be like
Yeah.
so specific. Like, we all have to be so specific.
Yeah.
Um, but having like a runner who just can lay eyes on it before the next guest arrives would be ideal. And the cleaner was, I mean, maybe it's just the cleaner needs to like be on site for another half hour or an extra half hour, and we just pay that, and that's fine. And I mean, they definitely were helpful. They told me things that were broken that needed like I
Sure.
then did a maintenance call, and everythh was handled remotely, and it was perfectly fine. And we did
Right.
like the whole clean, the whole maintenance, and um yeah. So runner. Oh, another thing is like coffee. We don't have a I don't have a stock of beans because I didn't wanna have a whole stocked closet of beans, and then they're, like, not very fresh, and maybe that's a personal I'm a coffee snob, I don't know,
That's
but
not
we were we didn't want to just serve, like, shitty coffee or, like, have, like, shitty small packets, we wanted it to be really high end, and so that required an Amazon package of really nice coffee, like, literally the day before, and to have somebody just pick that up at the door and bring it inside and, like, present it nicely next to the coffee maker would be that's kind of where I'm yeah. Very, like,
Yeah.
small, like, detailed, like, nuances, but that's kinda what I'm thinking the runner would do. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think for the things you're saying, like, I do think a lot of it I think all of it can be handled by the cleaner. Picking up packages, like, laying things out, all that stuff can be done by your cleaner. My cleaners don't even charge me, honestly, anything. They don't charge me extra
Mm.
for bringing the packages. If you wanna pay them extra, whatever, $10, $20 to clean, out of the owner's pocket, and you negotiate that like a flat rate and it's all included,
Yeah.
then that's fine. Um, but yeah, those are definitely tasks that like the cleaner should absolutely handle. Now, as far as
Okay.
having somebody go in afterwards to check the cleaner's work, from my experience, it's not like cost efficient in my opinion to do that forever, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I understand that in the beginning, especially if you're remote, you might have that done, and maybe you pay somebody $20 to just run to the property, do a quick walkthrough, give feedback. If you were to do that, depending on like the property and the cleaning fee and all that stuff, like that's something that I might just pay myself and not charge the
Yeah.
owners for because you, especially in the beginning, like that's when you want to make sure everything is like perfect. So if you
Mhm.
have to spend an extra $60 or even $100 on a property that you're going to make $1,000 from per month or more, then it's like, okay, eat the $100, make sure that you
Mhm.
get someone in after, get some good like notes from them about what can be improved. And then that you can communicate to the cleaner and then they know what to do going forward and you build that trust with them,
Mhm.
then that's what I've seen is to be like the most sustainable. Cause like cleaners I've worked with, most of them, I've been working with them for years at this point. So I don't have any like crazy I don't have them doing anything crazy because we've built up so much trust at this point.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, sure, if you want to just be extra cautious, get someone to walk through, I think that's fine.
Mhm.
Um, and if it's just for your peace of mind, then I probably would just honestly pay it out of pocket. But I
Yeah.
definitely would not have a walkthrough forever. If you have to do a walkthrough every single time, in my opinion, it means either the cleaner is just not the right cleaner, or um, I don't know what's going on because
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense financially, in my opinion.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, to just kind of establish like your I would like just eat that cost because I want to make sure
Yeah,
I provide a good service and uh have like figure out how exactly I need to communicate to my cleaner and based on what I'm expecting. And yeah, that
right.
makes total sense. I like that.
Yeah.
One kind of question on in relation to that, what about trash? If you have you ever had any properties where you literally have trash cans that need to go out to the curb on trash day and then back? Like, how do you handle that? Because that's the cleaner, like, wouldn't, always be there on that day. And like, that almost
Yeah,
seems like a runner job. Is that what you would do
totally.
for, it's
So
like,
for the midterm rentals, my guests will do that because they're at that point they're
yeah.
basically tenants, so they're doing that. On
Mhm.
the short-term rental side, um, I will so depending on, like, what day of the week and, like, the check-ins, check-outs, sometimes I will have somebody to just do the trash. Um, and usually though, like and this also goes back to, like, the runner idea. My cleaners do, like for most my properties and most markets, like, my cleaner is the one who's doing all the little odd tasks for me. I even had my cleaner and this was, like, nuts. I was talking to her over the phone. And she's like, "If you ever need anything, if you need me to change the batteries on the doors, if you need me to just run to the property to do this, I won't even charge you for it." And I'm like, "I'm gonna pay you because you're putting in work." But she was just like, she was so like
Wow.
she has been my runner as well.
Yeah.
So I definitely would um I definitely would like for the mindset shift of like giving your cleaners extra tasks, if they're like good, if you like them and you're talking to them over the phone or you're texting them, and they're friendly people, they're open to doing tasks, whatever. Like those are like great people who are
Yeah.
they're usually just like hardworking, they're usually
Mhm.
nice. Um, so giving them those extra tasks is fine. And then on top of that, to answer your question about the trash, yeah, you could have your cleaner, depending on the schedule, they could swing by and take the trash for you. Now, I would pay them extra for that personally, and it also
Yeah.
kind of depends on the check in, check out. That is something though too that I would like have upfront with the like that'd be a conversation upfront with the owner
Yeah.
about like what the trash situation is. Like I've one specific market, it's Pinehurst, North Carolina, and they are so strict on trash. Like the community, there's like this community app, and if someone's trash is left out, they'll take a picture of it and the whole like it's nuts. It's wild. So for there, we have somebody who comes to bring it to the street and back, original time, no questions asked, because if you don't,
Mhm.
you're gonna get fined. So
Yeah.
at that point, the owner we pay a runner to literally come and take the trash back and forth. And that comes out of the owner's pockets.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's helpful. It's so funny, like, every property is just so different and
Mhm.
every owner is so different, and trying to, like, establish systems and processes, like, is really important, but then like, if things are so different, they can be so different. It's funny, like, how
Right.
do you find that balance, It's, but it's fun to, like, figure out how to find that balance, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and then one other thing too, you didn't necessarily ask about it on the runner side, but this is way that I've been able to not have to use a runner for a lot of things is whatever number one, Walmart Plus. So it's kind of like Amazon Prime, but Walmart can deliver stuff within like 2 hours usually. So
Oh,
if you need to call a run, let's just say, the guest needs toilet paper and you don't have backup at the house. It's like a total whatever. Instead of
mhm.
having the a runner go get toilet paper because it's probably going to take them still an hour or so, and
Yeah.
you have to pay them for it. So instead, I order it from Walmart Plus. They'll deliver it within 2 hours usually, and it says it on there. That's one awesome trick, especially if you're doing it remotely.
Yeah, nice.
Um,
I like
and then
that.
the second one, I did this yesterday actually, was Uber. You could literally, it's kind of like Uber Eats, but they'll go to the store and pick up something. So
Yeah.
we had a guest, very complicated situation. very complicated situation, but she needed a couple things from CVS. So, and she kind of needed them fast. Long story, but we literally just did Uber. I on my phone had this person pick it up, and they dropped it off in like 25 minutes. So
Wow.
if you like those are kind of like those scenarios that they don't happen often. I've
Mhm.
only used like Uber like a few times, and same thing with Walmart Plus for like last minute things.
Yeah.
But when you need something and you're not there, like somebody in that market is
Yeah.
literally waiting to do a task for you, which is
Yeah.
pretty nuts to think about.
Yeah, that's true. And so then are
Yeah.
you back charging then you're charging the homeowner after the fact because it's like your Uber account and you paid for it, and so you just put it
Yep.
on their invoice?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Or yeah, it'd be
That's
like
just
a
another little
reimbursement.
remote
Yeah.
hack.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, yeah, I mean, that's totally doable. And depending on your market, like if you're in a city, of course. Yeah. Like I mean, in Denver, we have 2-hour Amazon delivery.
Yep.
And like if
Okay,
you were in
cool.
the mountains, you won't have that. But
Right.
yeah, I like that. The technology today, like you can literally do anything remotely, which is why I'm like, I'm trying to build my business with that intention first, like first and foremost.
Yep.
Like I'm building it around being remote, not trying to figure it out after the fact, which happens to a lot of
Totally.
people. And so
Totally.
I want to stay up front with owners about that and make sure that they're aware. And I think, yeah, that's probably another like mental block too, is just like the homeowner themselves. Like, well, if you're doing it remote, then well, why don't I just do it? Why can't I do it? And it's funny, like you think that people are gonna like have that reaction, and but like
Mhm.
the reality is like so many people don't know how to like deal with their property or main like it, or it's just like over their head and they really don't want to deal with it. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Like this new client that I'm about to sign, like he literally bought this house for he must be very rich. He bought this house for his friends and family when they come visit for the holidays. And it
Wow.
sits vacant otherwise. And he like wanted to get it rented or just have some occupancy. And that's what
Right.
I'm gonna help him with. So he doesn't even care about the cash flow or like, it's crazy. And he literally is like, I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to hand it off to somebody and you can manage it. And I was like,
Yep.
I can manage it. That's fine with me. Like
Yeah.
and it is weird. It's like, why did you buy a property if you don't want to manage it? But
Yep.
people are busy. People are busy and it's
Totally.
just not their forte. And so they hand it off. And I think that's like a mental block that I and probably a lot of other people need to
Yeah.
like, we have experience doing this. We have systems and processes and we know how to do it right and do it well. And a homeowner, it might just be like way too over the homeowner's head and they don't have the time and like the energy to like deal with it
Yeah.
or be a host or yeah.
Totally.
So that's a big mental hurdle that I feel like a lot of us need to
For sure. Yeah.
recognize.
100%. Like kind of what you said, a lot of owners don't want to do it. A lot of owners don't know how to do it. They don't have they don't want to put the time to do it. I will say though, even the owners though that you'll talk to, this has happened to me, that I kind of give them my pitch and they're like, you know what, like this sounds good, but I just want to give it a try first. And then there will be times where they'll try it on their own, and then they're gonna get a text message on Friday night. And then they're gonna call you up the next day and say, "Hey, can you take this over?" This literally happened to me, and the property that it's happened to me on, um, and what's cool too is like each property is kind of its own like case study and story. It's like this property I'm talking about where they wanted to do it themselves, and then they realized, yeah, maybe let's not. We just got an insurance company to book it for $10,000 per month,
Oh my
and
god.
in especially the off season, like they started mid-February. So February, March, April, that property would probably bring in like 2,000, maybe $3,000 if we're lucky per month. And now we're getting
Wow.
10,000 per
Wow.
month. So like it's kind of like these case studies build on top of each other where if I talk to another owner now, I'm gonna say to them, hey, you could totally do it yourself. Just to be 100% transparent with you, like not only is this what happened with this other person, but my value is also gonna be able to get you these better bookings. So if you can kind
Yeah.
of show people that you're valuable, I mean, again, depending on what they
Mhm.
need. So like for the owner you're talking about, I have owners that I work with that they just have money. They literally don't care. It's just like a tax thing for them. So like I'm cool with
Yeah.
it. But for other people, it's like if you can show them that you can add value in all these different places for them that they need, then they're like, wow, I mean, this person's gonna do this, 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 this. Like they can have it. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to deal with the pricing and the marketing and the guest communication and the vendor communication and this and this. Then they're like, okay, I think I'm just ready to hand this thing off.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's smart.
So
That's
yeah,
cool. That's really cool. I've listed with some of the insurance agencies and I've had no luck so far, but I think it's very rare to get that.
okay.
But that's cool when that happens. That's really cool.
Mhm. Have you seen any of my videos on the midterm stuff or no, not yet? Like on YouTube at all?
Um, I don't know actually. Maybe one on YouTube.
Okay,
I
okay,
maybe not all. If you have more than one, then probably not. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
what I'm doing on YouTube right now is I'm posting like crazy in depth stuff about midterm rentals all
Mm.
on YouTube. Um, so like because it's not just about like what company should you list with. Like that's kind of like the easiest part of it all. But
Mhm.
even more so, it's like how do you what do you do to actually get the booking? Because again, listing with them is a step, but it's not like the main thing. It's like,
Uh,
hey, reach out to them once per week. Like literally pick up the phone or email like once per week. I give like all my
mhm.
scripts. I can send you it too after, just so you have it
Yeah.
and then the link to it. But
Okay. Yeah, that would be great
actually, I
because I
can.
could. Yeah. I couldn't even like they're hard to get a hold of. If their websites are weird and like
Totally.
you probably have to like know a phone number to call or know somebody um on a more personal level. Like that'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out those videos and look
Cool.
out for your stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds good. Krista, any other questions
Awesome.
on your end? You're definitely a good pass. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I mean, I have lots of questions as but it's just like I'm learning on the job, like learning as I go.
Yep.
I feel like I have a lot of it figured out. It's really just more of like the tiny little stuff once I get like my first real client who's not like a family member. Um,
Yep.
I it's just the little things like whose VRBO account do I use? Is it mine or is it theirs? Or how does the like invoice process work if it is a VRBO booking and there's no Airbnb payout split? It's I have to like
Mhm.
invoice them on the back end and like it's just like all the little nuances like that I just need to
Yep.
figure out by doing it. Um
Yeah.
and I get like I'll just get a little bit in my head of like explaining the process to a homeowner when I actually haven't done it myself yet. And so then I
Yep.
get a little bit like flustered and feel like I'm not as like on my game because I like
Right.
actually don't remember it whose the RBO account it's supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I have I'll if I ever have questions, I like just enter it into the Facebook chat
Cool.
or Facebook group. At least I've done that in the past, and that's always a really great resource, super helpful.
Cool.
Just for those little tiny questions like that. Um,
Totally.
but yeah, no, this was very helpful. The runner stuff
Cool.
was helpful. I need to like get over a mental block and then and actually I think empower my cleaner a little bit more too. Like I think they have the resources and like the want to do more tasks. So I just need to give her more tasks and I want to try
Yeah.
that first. Um yeah, that's helpful. I cleaners are so important. So I want to
Yeah.
have like a really good relationship with my cleaner and just like work on that relationship with her. So
Yeah. Now that you just said that, it got me thinking. Maybe I'll bring my cleaner, the one that I'm talking about, and do an interview with her, and kind of
ah
and kind of hear her perspective on everything. Because yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. So maybe I'll
yeah.
do that too. I think she'd be able to. give a different perspective,
Mhm.
I mean, a whole different perspective on her side of the deal, and
Yeah, I
I think
think
it'd be cool.
it's smart. I mean, it's kind of comes down to like, or it's feels very similar to like management. If you like when you have like a team to manage, um, if you've ever been in like a senior position and you have people that you're managing, like empowering them, even if you're asking them to do additional tasks, but like empowering them in a way to where that they don't feel like inundated with these tasks. They actually feel empowered and they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
cool." Like, yeah, and then they do a good job and you you say they do a good job and like they get that kind of like, I don't know, dopamine hit where they're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so then they're more willing to do more stuff for you in the future and like it just completely it builds up the rapport, builds up the relationship and that's something that I'm, like, learning, but I would be really cool to, like, dive into that a little bit more and see
yeah,
how your cleaner, like, is okay with doing all of those other tasks that are literally not cleaning
yeah,
and how she kind of, like, developed her list for you to,
yep.
like, be okay with that and add extra time at the property to do all of those things, but yeah, that's interesting. I would it would be cool. That'd
Yeah.
be a cool interview if you if you brought
Cool.
her
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I'm gonna text her after this. She's actually cleaning one of my properties today in like
Nice.
an hour. So I'll and I'm sure she's gonna find something at the property, and she's gonna probably do. She always goes above and beyond. So I'll make that
Nice.
happen. I'll have to figure out when that will be. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Well,
Cool.
Krista, super nice meeting you. I think you're
Yeah.
definitely like on the right path. The things that you're thinking
Mhm.
of like are super normal. Like a lot of the um like, obviously, like, the small questions, like, the logistical stuff, and then some of the mental
Mhm.
roadblock, like, they
Mhm.
will pop up, but I hope this helped you, and I know as things
Yeah.
pop up, it's just having more conversations to get through those roadblocks, but, yeah, you're definitely
Mhm.
on the right path. I'm excited to see, where you go next.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for your
Cool.
time. Yeah, this was great. I look forward to following along, continuing to follow along and watch your videos and stuff and ask questions for the group. And yeah, keep
Sweet.
learning.
Awesome, Krista. Well,
Cool.
have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too.
Alright, peace out.
Bye.